Today we'll be making a Bullbot, both with an IR detector and whiskers. The IR detectors will be able to detect if there is no edge in front of it, so it will depend on what kind of edge there is in front of it to make a 90-degree turn or a 180 turn. The whiskers, you'll have to be putting the Bullbot on the ground, and it will run into a wall, and the whiskers will detect if it's there or not. So it'll make a turn depending on which whisker hits it.
We have the suspect here, pulled over. Oh no, he's taking off!
Oh no, he's pushing the cop car into the pit. Oh, I hope everyone's alright. This guy clearly needs to be stopped. You know, this is getting way out of control. We have the suspect in custody. Problem is, the car is the suspect, so we're not exactly sure how to handle this one. We have to turn this technology over to the military, because if this falls into the wrong hands, this could be deadly.
Here's our IR detector, our cable reader. First we start out with our speaker, which is the big black circle on there. And what that does is tell if you have just programmed your Bullbot or if you just turned it on. From there we have our two resistors on each side. They're mirrored of each other for each wheel. So from that slows down the amount of voltage so you don't overdo the emitters, which we did. We blew out the LED. It's not a good thing. Really hot. So you go from there, you go to the LEDs, which are the emitters, pointing at the table. You are not able to see them right now. But what they do is they tell if there's a table in front of you or not. The detectors are what actually detect it. So what it means by that is it sees the light let off by the LEDs. So if it turns or not.
Here we have the program for the Bullbot, and this is the program for avoiding table edges. And here is the title for it, and then here, this program running is the message displayed when you program the Bullbot by using this button here when it's plugged in. And then this frequency is normally 1000 and 3000, but because them pitches were high and mainly annoying like a mosquito, I brought them down to 500 and 1000 to make it more tolerable. Next, down here, this is what runs it based on if it is reading a table edge or not. So depending on if it reads a table edge or not, it will send out certain pulses to either make both wheels drive forward or make one forward and one backwards to make it turn.
Here we have a picture of the circuit that was used for our navigation system with whiskers on the Bullbot. This system is what was used when the Bullbot was on the floor being chased by the cops. And whenever the Bullbot would run into either a wall or the antenna that was sticking up on the cop car, these antennas would bend back, touching this contact, and then based on the program that was put into it, it would tell it to back up and make a 90-degree turn, and then it would go forward again until it ran into another object and made another one of the whiskers or both touch the contacts to complete the circuit. Here we have resistors that protect the circuit, making it so the voltage doesn't fry anything. And then here's the speaker that puts out a beeping sound whenever you program it or turn it on, just to let you know that it's ready. Here's the switch used. When it's on 0, it is completely off, and then when it's on 1, that's where it should be when you're programming it, and then 2 is where it should be when you actually want it to run after it's programmed and you just want it to go by itself. Over here is where you connect it with the included cable to the computer to program it. And this is our power cord, which goes underneath and has a battery underneath all this. These wires here, as you can see, there's two, and those are the wires that drive each servo motor for each wheel. Here's the program for the Bobot with whiskers, and we start with the title again, and then down here is where the main part happens, and as you can see it says main routine. So it runs a loop, so it continuously goes through this process of checking if it runs into things. And here, this is what happens when both whiskers hit the wall and touch the contacts. It will back up and then make a U-turn or two left turns. And next we have if the left whisker contacts a wall, which will then make it hit the contact on the Bobot, then it would back up and turn right. And when the right whisker hits the contact, simply does the opposite, backs up and turns left. And then here, this is the program that it goes through the most because it's just going straight. So as you can see, it says both whiskers are at the value 1, which means they are not touching the contact. So it will just continually send forward pulses until it does hit a wall.
Overall, the project with the Bobot went pretty well, besides a couple hang-ups. First one was that, as mentioned before, when we put in the IR emitter, we accidentally short-circuited it from the resistors, which made it really hot, and it glowed for a second and smoked and made it smell like burning plastic. And then the second one was that every once in a while, if the Bobot would come into things at a slight angle, it would not be able to pick up, either running into things, or it wouldn't be able to pick up the edge. For example, on the table edge, if it came in at a slight angle, because the wheelbase is wider than the emitters, it would fall off the table before it could detect the edge. And then if it was on the floor, using the whisker system, if it came in at a slight angle, the whiskers would get pushed the opposite direction they're supposed to, so they would not come in contact with the thing that makes them read to back up and turn the other direction. So it would just hit the wall, and then it would have to stop, and we'd have to pick it up and move it. Besides them two problems, it went well and worked out just the way it should.